Welcome to our latest Microsoft Dynamics 365 presentation, Working with Views. Today we're going to look at the functionality within views. So you can see from the navigation bar that I'm in the sales area, the accounts entity, and the default view that is activated in my system is active accounts, and I can use the downward arrow and change this view at any point. So if I now select my active accounts, the view will change and give me a list of my personal active accounts that are assigned to me as a user in the system. If I use this view much more than any other view that I've got in the list, if I click here, I can pin the view, and that means that I'm overwriting the system default, and every time I load into this entity, my active accounts will be my personal default view. Within the view list, we can see we have system views and we also have personal views. System views are seen by every user across the business, so they're common to everybody. Whereas my views are views that are just there, that I've either created myself for my own personal use, or they are there because another user has shared them with either me or a team that I am a member of. We will look at how we create these views shortly. At the moment, I'm working with the active accounts view in the accounts entity, and if I wish to search for data in this entity, I've also got a field in the top right hand corner of the screen, a search field. I'm going to click in there, put in an asterisk and part of the value that I want to search for, and then encase that in another asterisk. I'm then going to hit the search option to start the search over here. But before I do so, I want you to just notice that we are in the active accounts view before we run the search. As soon as we hit the magnifying glass, we'll see that the view changes and I'm now displaying the search results view. So I'm in a completely different view to the one that I started in when I put the value in this field over here. One important point to take into consideration, especially as a system administrator configuring the system, is that this search results view should mirror the main system views that the users are searching every day. So for example, if a user searches in a main view for a postcode and then the postcode column isn't presented in the search results, it can confuse a user. To drop the search results screen, we simply click on the cross next to where we type the value, and we will go back to the default view. We can also see within a view that we've got an arrow on a column header, which works very much like Excel, and we can change the sort order on that column, either ascending or descending, and the arrow will change direction. In addition, we have letters along the bottom of the screen. If we click on a letter, so for example if I click on T, the data displayed will begin with the letter T, but in conjunction with the column that I'm sourcing on. So if I click on the city column now, you will see there's no data, but we did see Bray in there. So if I now click on B, you'll see that it does display that data. Just as an additional note, to go back to everything, we click on all. And if we want anything that starts numerically within a column, it's the hash key. And that will give us a data result that starts with a number rather than a character. We can also run filters across a view, but again, it's one we need to be careful of. So if I go into my search field, put in a value of account this time, and close it in my asterisks, and run that search, you'll see again we're in search results. Now what many new users try to do is put a filter on over the search results view, and at this point you will get a message. It's not an error by the system, it's a message, and basically what that's saying is this view does not support filtering because Dynamics considers this to be a filter when we're working within this view already. So to turn the filter on, make sure that you're either in a system or a personal view, and then click the filter option. And you will see that a downward arrow appears on the top of each column. What we can then do is use the downward arrow, and in the case of this field that is industry, because it's a pick list, we can then choose particular items in that pick list and just then go in and filter on those values only. It will signify that we're running a filter because the filter option will sit on the top of that column. We can also filter on more than one field. So if I want everybody in a particular industry or 2 industries here, and then if I click on the email column header and I want everybody whose email contains data, you can see I'm now filtering on 2 columns. This is going to be a filter that I use much of the time, so I don't want to keep going in here, hitting filter and then running that specific filter. So another nice functionality is that I can now go in here and access the views that I currently have already. I can then go to the bottom and I can save the filter that I've just built as a new view. And it will give me the original name of the filter that I started in. So I'm going to call this Claire Industry Sample with email address. Save that and you'll see immediately that view is saved in the top left of the screen. Anytime I now want to use that view, I use the downward arrow. If I go back to active accounts, you will see that it is now there as a personal view. You can share personal views with other teams and users, but we are going to save that for another session. We don't want to make these sessions too long. And in addition, on another session, we are going to look at the advanced filter and show you exactly how to work with that. One last option that we're going to look at today, you can see that I've just turned the filter on the active account screen, and I want to show you the difference between filtering on a drop-down list and a lookup table. So we can see in the industry this is a drop-down list, so we can simply tick the items that we want to filter on, and then the filter will display the result here and show us that data in a list format. However, if we look in here at the primary contact column, you'll see that this isn't a drop-down list. It's a lookup table. So basically the system is resourcing another table of data to give us the values that it presents in here, and that is actually the contact entity. But just to show you how that works, if we click on filter by specific primary contact, I then get a list of the contacts that I've got in that other entity. And what I can now do is I can type a name. So if I type David for David Beckham and press enter, it will just give me David Beckham. To get the full list back, just hit the cross. And when I've decided which user or which contact I want to put into this central box and filter on, it's important that we click next to the person's name to place a tick there, then hit select. We must hit this select. The record card that we're going to filter on, wherever it's from, whichever lookup table it's from, must be in here, and then select add. Otherwise, it won't pick up that particular value in that table. And that's how we filter using a lookup table. We have got additional options in views, which are along the top of the screen, but I am going to cover them again in another session, as we don't want to make these sessions too long. So that's our first video clip on working with views. If you've got any questions at all, please access our website or give us a call direct. We're always happy to answer any training questions. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again soon.